The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101 with host Susan Bartelstone. We're so happy you've joined us. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that'll help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's the host of Crime Prevention 101, Susan Bartelstone.
An article in the New York Times caught my eye a few months ago. It concerned what's being called the biggest and most complex case of identity theft that this country has ever seen, and I mean ever. It was about the arrest of a 29-year-old computer hacker named Albert Gonzalez, who orchestrated the theft and sale of more than 130 million credit and debit card accounts that we know of. And yes, I said 130 million. This is the Bernie Madoff of cybercrime. And he did this while working as an informant for the FBI. And he eventually entrapped the very people who were stealing for him. Now, I have to admit, cybercrime absolutely fascinates me and terrifies me. And when you hear what this hacker accomplished, it will absolutely blow your mind. And the Justice Department has said that they still don't even know the full extent of what he did. This is an absolutely incredible story. And we're also going to be talking with a reformed drug dealer who looks like a tough biker, but who, after experiencing a jailhouse religious conversion, started a healing ministry that's touched hundreds of hardcore prisoners all over the West. And in observance of January being Personal Safety Awareness Month, well, I'm going to tell you about a really neat personal safety device and introduce you to a spicy red-headed self-defense instructor who'll tell you how to use it. And we've also got some important self-defense tips for you as well. Well, this is Susan Bartelstone, and you're listening to Crime Prevention 101, coming to you from the still snow and ice-covered New York City. But you know what? We may be the frozen apple right now, but we're always hot, hot, hot. All right. Now, if you're a regular listener to Crime Prevention 101, and thank you to all of you, the show is doing so well this year. Our numbers are up so much, and I'm just thrilled. Anyway, you know that we really love reformed criminals around here, and I've got such an interesting guest to start off the show. And his name is Ron Kari, and as I said, he's a reformed drug dealer who did some hard time, but he's now a working actor and currently being seen on the Sons of Anarchy TV show, which is on the FX channel. He's a martial artist, a stuntman, a sober companion bodyguard, which he's going to tell you what that is shortly. He's done a lot and seen a lot, but what he did in prison with his ministries is definitely something that I want you to hear about. So, Ron, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Oh, thank you.
It's such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, great to be on your show, Susan. Thanks for calling me.
Well, listen now, Ron, talk a little about your background. Talk about how you wound up in prison.
Well, I was trying to make extra money, and I got caught with a lot of drugs on my way to where you're at in New York. I'd take them to Manhattan and get a lot of money for them. Mm-hmm. So one of the trips I got stopped going in Nebraska. I didn't make it, and amazingly enough, it was on January 26th, the same date as today, 1993, 18 years ago today.
Very auspicious.
Yeah. So I was looking at an awful long time. Right next to me in my cell, there was an actually satanic priest that was there for murder. He ended up getting life without parole. He was about 19 years old. But he told me that the devil didn't work for him anymore once he got in prison, so I started, reading my Bible, going to church, and made a deal with God that if he got me out of this one, I'd give him the next 20 years, and we'll take it from there. And amazingly enough, miracles started happening, and my sentence was dramatically reduced, and I got out. Started going to went to church, started going to Bible college. I thought that was what to do with my life.
And this was Catholic church you're talking about, right? This was a hardcore Catholic church.
Well, no, actually, I got experiences in prison with the Catholic Jesuit priest that changed my whole life, and really, I was able to see God work through someone like I've never saw before.
He made some predictions, right?
Pardon?
I think you told me.
Huh?
He made some predictions about what was going to happen.
Yeah. He told me things that God was going to do in my life. Well, I was always really into different, psychic stuff. I did martial arts since I was a kid, so I was into, supernatural stuff, supernatural powers.
Mm-hmm.
And when this guy came in, he prayed for me. I felt the supernatural power like I've never felt before, and I just knew, wow, that's God,
Mm-hmm.
And in the words that he told me, it was like he was channeling right from God, Everything he said and everything he predicted actually happened and came true in my life, and I was later released out of prison.
And you went and you followed up a religious path, and
yeah. Well, I don't want to say religious, more spiritual. I was seeking God through Christ.
Okay.
And I started going to church in Van Nuys, California, called the Church on the Way. Believe it or not, that's where God directed me, and started going to a Bible college called the King's Institute. Well, I met a man named Tim Davis, who was a kind of a mentor to me in the healing ministry. I gravitated towards the healing ministries because I saw that same supernatural power.
And explain to everyone what a healing ministry is, because it's a very particular kind of a ministry.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a prayer ministry, listening to God, praying for people, and seeing miracles happen. So really the healing ministry is almost like the ministry of the Holy Spirit, I'd like to say. I myself was healed of hepatitis C, completely healed, right? And which is amazing. And so I knew, and I was miraculously delivered out of federal prison. So I knew God can do pretty cool stuff. So
yeah.
I started praying for people, and they started, they sometimes fall down, feel the power of God, which was interesting. And I prayed for people to get healed, and they'd start getting healed. It was awesome, It was really cool. It wasn't anything I'd do. I'd just be a vessel, just like the priest would tell me. We're just channels for the Holy Spirit.
And now talk a little bit about the ministry, the healing ministry in the prisons, and what you were doing there to help the hardcore prisoners. And I have to tell you, now I see your picture, and you look like a biker. That you look like the character that you play on the Sons of Anarchy. You do not look like what I would say a minister looks like.
Yeah, thank God that at least I get to work. I learned real long. Yeah, when I first got out of prison, it's interesting. I started wearing La Tegra kind of golf shirts, and I didn't really want to cut my hair, And I remember praying. I remember God saying, "Hey, just be you." It's like, wow, what a freedom. I thought that to be religious, I had to dress a certain way, drive a certain car, and talk a certain way. I didn't realize the freedom that I had, in faith. So what was the question, Susan? I'm sorry.
So I wanted to tell people about the ministry within the prisons, because that I think is exceptional.
Well, I was following the healing ministry, outside of prison. I was getting more into ministries. I was really praying for the prisoner, because my heart, just like the Catholic Jesuit priest, my heart was for the prisoners, and I kind of felt, why did I get such a grace of getting out when I had so many friends that I knew that were doing 10, 20 years still in prison? so I'd pray for them a lot, and I really pray for God. I'd see things and moves of the Holy Spirit in the churches, and I'd pray for that for the prisons. Well, fate kind of had it that I had a probation officer that didn't really like me, so after about 3-4 years, he put me back in prison and revoked all of my street time. Basically, I had to do about a year violation in prison. And when I did that, I started doing the same thing with people in prison where I started praying for them. I started speaking prophetic words as I'd feel the Spirit giving me. And it really got quite big. It was in Safford, Arizona. The ministry was called the Sons of God Ministry. And
this was all over the West, you were telling me. It got very spread.
Yeah, it started at Safford. It's almost like a fire, you know. It's like I had a vision of little fires being set from one prison to the next, you know. And in scriptures it talks about, you know, the fire of the Holy Spirit, and that's really what I was seeing. And it started, and it just kind of, little fires just went everywhere of the ministry. And it was really an awesome first time, you know, move of the Holy Spirit. It was we call it a prophetic ministry, you know, because it's just whatever the Spirit says and moves. We're just vessels, and we just did, you know.
And you're still doing this work now? Are you still working with the prisoners now? I know you're doing the acting and everything, but...
Not so much the prisoners right now, you know. I'm working with a lot of the bikers, you know. I'm seeing a lot of we're kind of like real people, you know. And so people like in the biker world kind of say, wow, you're kind of a real dude and you're black belt in these martial arts and wow, that's for real stuff. So, you know, I just kind of, you know, I got some people in some major motorcycle organizations that have been to church with me recently, and they're just, God just sells himself there. You know what I mean?
I think that's great because I like to think you're preventing future criminals and future crimes.
Yeah, you know, these are real, a lot of the biking guys, they're kind of who they are, like Popeye, you know, they is who they is. So they can really tell someone that's full of it from someone that's not. And when they feel that experience, they say, just like me for the first time, wow, it's real, you know, it's tangible. Actually have an experience with God. You know,
I think that because you look like them, you reach them, and I think that's very commendable too. You are, and they know you're genuine, and they can accept what you're saying to them.
Yeah. So you know, I guess that's where I hopefully God gives me a lot more favor in the different. Yeah, I've done a few scenes in different movies as a biker, and I hope to continue to that. You know, I wanted to be do more pirate and Viking stuff, but the biker seems to be getting it, you know.
And I know that you're a sober bodyguard companion. You told me you were 25 years now sober.
Yes, 25 years clean and sober.
So if someone needs that, and you've done some high-profile bodyguarding for high-profile people, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about the ministry or they need a sober bodyguard? How can they reach you?
You know, get a hold of me on Facebook under my name, Ron Kari, Kari. But you got to write a note because a lot of people on the show from Sons try to friend me. Not that I don't want fans, but I want to really talk more with my friends on Facebook. So,
absolutely. All right.
So you have to write a note. Yeah.
We're coming up to break, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show. Be sure to check him out on... Thank you, Ron. And be sure to check him out on Facebook. It's Ron, Kari. And this is Crime... Sorry, Ron. You saying goodbye? Okay. Well, this is Crime Prevention 101, the radio show with an optimistic perspective on a sober subject. Coming up, if your credit or debit card identity has been compromised in the past few years, the Justice Department said it's a really good bet that cybercriminal mastermind Albert Gonzalez was responsible for it. Shocking, chilling story that you really want to hear about.
Stimulating talk.
It gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 Internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
Hi, this is Susan Bartelstone, host of Crime Prevention 101, and I want to tell you about My Mobile Witness, a revolutionary service that transforms your camera phone into a personal safety device. My Mobile Witness believes safety is improved when you remove anonymity from dangerous scenarios. If you're in a stalking situation, for example, if you have an order of protection against someone, or if your profession places you in situations that are potentially dangerous, I want you to check out My Mobile Witness. And you parents of college students, ask the school to check out the My Mobile Witness University program with custom-tailored options aimed at keeping both students and faculty safe. Every campus could benefit from the My Mobile Witness University service. For more information, go to mymobilewitness.com.
Get ready to change your life. Achieve your dreams, become a success story, and accomplish so much more. Tune in to Life Radio with Todd Newton. It's your open access to leading authors, experts, and trainers from the world of self-improvement, hosted by one of the world's top certified life coaches and motivational speaker, Todd Newton. Achieve the highest levels of personal development in all areas of your life. Listen to Life Radio with Todd Newton, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Violence, theft, drugs, graffiti, it's all part of joining a gang. In times like these, we need to protect our kids and our community from gangs. Gangs often prey on teens with low self-esteem who perform poorly in school and who seek a sense of belonging. Protect kids from gangs. Know who they're hanging out with. Encourage them to become involved in school activities. Give kids a positive alternative to gangs. To learn more, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Streaming live, the leader in Internet talk radio, VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Hi, Susan Bartelstone here. And you know what? There is plenty of show left, so please start tweeting about us. And don't forget that you can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, too, so why not join the party? Also, I just want to tell you that President Obama declared January to be Human Trafficking Awareness Month, in addition to everything else. So I'm posting some information and resources and ways that you can get involved in preventing human trafficking, and this will be on my crimeprevention101.com blog. Now, let's meet identity theft expert Paige Pederson and talk about the mega Albert Gonzalez identity theft case. Now, Paige is, her title is Identity Theft Risk Management Specialist, and since 2006, she's worked for the high-profile identity theft prevention company LifeLock, where she is the manager of educational programs, and that means that she's responsible for the programs that provide critical identity theft training for law enforcement and community groups and whoever wants it, I guess. And this is Paige's second appearance on Crime Prevention 101, and I'm so delighted to have her back with me. Hello, Paige. Welcome back.
Hello, Susan. Welcome. Good evening, I should say.
Yes, good evening. What a pleasure to have you back with me again.
Well, so certainly the pleasure is all mine, and I can't wait to, talk about Gonzalez.
Yes, this case has been called the largest and single most complex case in the country. And I have to tell you, it absolutely fascinated me. But before we get into the case and what it means to us, the implications, let's just do a little background for those people who aren't sure exactly what identity theft is.
Well, identity theft can be classified as either identity theft or identity fraud. The difference between the two is identity fraud is when somebody's going to take your already existing credit, so maybe a credit card, an existing loan. So if I get a hold of your credit card and I charge up and max it out, that's identity fraud. And then there's identity theft, which I'm going to take your personal information and create new accounts in your name, a new credit card, buy a new house, open up a new wireless phone. That is identity theft.
Mm-hmm. And billions of money is lost because of fraud and theft every year, right?
Absolutely, billions, because it can't be recovered. If I'm a credit card company and I have a customer that has been a victim of this credit card fraud, I then have to go write it off. Well, where does that money come from? Billions are lost just because, credit card companies are reimbursing the consumer because of identity theft, and that money is never recovered on their end.
And we end up paying for it down the line.
We certainly do.
We consumers. All right, so now this case has absolutely huge implications. In fact, as I said earlier, the Justice Department has said that if your credit or debit card information was compromised recently, there's a pretty good chance that Albert Gonzalez and his crew was responsible. So who is this Albert Gonzalez, and what did he do?
Well, Albert Gonzalez was, first, he started off just interested in computers. He started off at a young age, always thinking about computers, learning about them. Well, of course, with anything, with your interest piques even more interest in kind of how they work, the back end of things. And I think that's why he was so smart, because he was able to manipulate the credit card systems, whether it was a skimmer, which is a device that's going to capture the magnetic information when you put it through. But he was able to manipulate thousands and thousands of businesses and consumers' credit card information to then go and create new lines of credit to also sell those to, at $100 a pop to other people and organizations, and you get money that way as well.
Yeah, he had overseas operatives in Eastern Europe and Turkey and Russia. When he would steal these things, that's what he would sell them to, and that's why a lot of times you find these charges coming from, somewhere outside of the United States. Well, that's because it's your account number was stolen.
Absolutely. And he was quoted in New York Times actually did an article about him in November, and they did this, very lengthy article about him, and it's a great article. If anybody of your listeners have a chance to read it, it is a good one. It gives more in depth about kind of where he came from and what he did, but he was smart because he didn't technically know how to do everything that he committed, and he just had the idea. So he was very smart in some things, but the thing that he was smart about is he had the connection. So you mentioned Turkey. There was a guy in Turkey that he used the majority of storing his databases, and he used him as a connection. So he had connections all over the world because of his black market days when he used to just do the underground chats. And he was then able to make those connections, and they would actually do the work for him the majority of the time.
Yeah, he was really a brilliant organizer, and I did see that article in the Times. That's what kind of made me so fascinated by this. It said he was first arrested in 2003.
Right.
And
so in 2003, he was actually caught by maxing out people's debit cards. And what he would do, it was right before midnight because you have a certain amount that you can withdraw each day. And so he would withdraw the maximum limit right before midnight, and then he was also doing it right after midnight so he could withdraw, 2 days worth of maximum that you can on an ATM. And a cop saw him, and he knew that, this person, he didn't know what they were up to, but he knew it was something that wasn't right. And then so when he was brought in, that's when he confessed everything and kind of let him know what he was doing. That's how he got connected to the Secret Service and became an informant from then.
It's absolutely fascinating story. And one of the things he was doing was called war driving.
That's right. Wardrobing is a technique when, let's say I go outside a business and they're capturing credit card numbers because they're selling something. We'll use TJ Maxx for an example because that is one of the organizations that they wardrobe. And they sat out on the outside of the store with a big antenna in their car with computers. Were actually able to get in their security and their wireless because it was unencrypted wireless data. And every single time you make a credit card transaction, you need to be on some sort of network. So they were actually able to get in their servers and then take all the data, so every credit card transaction, and then use it, sell it, and encrypt it on their side so nobody else was able to get it besides what they sold.
That is, he had crews outside of what I heard, BJ's Wholesale Club, DSW, TJ Maxx, a lot of these big stores, because they never encrypted any of their data. So anytime they would swipe that credit card, his crew was able to capture that number.
Which is completely scary because, you go into any retail establishment and you go and you use your transaction and you think just because you're using your credit card there at the store, you're not doing it online, so you don't have, that thought in your head that, maybe my wireless, they're capturing it that way. No, you're actually going in the store, and they were able to then penetrate it that way and get your number just because of that.
And I bet the stores now all use encrypted
well, definitely the ones that were caught with his scam. But what's interesting about the article, at the end of the article in the New York Times, they said that the big fish that were even bigger than the TJX compromise haven't even come forward. So if you can imagine, there's probably stores and retail establishments that we don't even know that were actually hit and compromised because of Albert Gonzalez and his crew.
Exactly. And in fact, when that article, it said in his second go-around, while he was an informant for the FBI, he was able to tap into payment processing centers. They mentioned in the article, the Heartland payment system.
Yeah.
And that particular organization processes credit card payments for about 250,000 businesses. So he was getting all of that data as well.
Right. I think it was something around 500 banks were affected just because of the Heartland breach. And those are the ones that actually came forward. So you can imagine if you're any of those banks and, they have thousands and thousands of customers, that is millions of dollars right there that they're losing.
And that's why they're not even sure exactly what he got from that, because it still hasn't all come to light. I mean, that's just a huge amount of data that he and his crew probably still has.
Absolutely. It's just mind-boggling, really, just how smart he was. And now, he's sitting behind bars. And I believe at the end of the article, he mentioned that he wished he just would have gone to jail after his first arrest in 2003. Then none of this would have happened, because it got out of hand with any type of crime. When you get that thrill from doing it, whether you're hacking or any other stealing, anything like that you're doing, he obviously wished he stopped beforehand. Me too.
I loved that. I just thought that article did such a good job, because when he got caught, that's what he was referring to. When he first got caught, they allowed him not to serve time in jail if he would work for them, and that's what he did. And he was saying, I should have gone to jail.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
now
5 years. Imagine what happens 5-6 years later, and this big mess that they've gotten into, or he's gotten into himself, and then everybody who had worked with him. He has. Can you imagine if he ever gets out of jail? Just the kind of mark he has on himself in the cyber community is. It wouldn't be fun getting back into the real world after that.
I definitely don't think that would be such a good idea.
No.
Listen, Paige. We're coming to a break, so you're going to hang out with me a little longer. We're going to talk a little bit more about this case, and then we've got some tips about what to do if you are victimized by identity theft. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and I want everyone to make sure you check out LifeLock.com for more information about this topic, because you really need to protect yourself from it. And we're going to be right back.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. That's it. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
If you think you've seen online TV before, let us surprise you.
VoiceAmerica.tv is online now.
The leader in live internet talk radio has done it again. Multiple channels, a state-of-the-art viewing experience, live and on-demand programs streaming 24 hours a day. It's exactly what you want, when you want it.
VoiceAmerica.tv.
From health and wellness to business, sports, and everything in between. Discover our new world. Visit VoiceAmerica.tv now and experience the future of online television.
VoiceAmerica.tv.
You're walking alone. A group of people is hanging out just ahead. Suddenly, they surround you.
Hey, yo, where you going? Come here.
Before you know it, you're being robbed. It's called a pack robbery, a robbery involving a group of assailants, and it can be violent. In times like these, trust your instincts. Don't become their next victim. Avoid suspicious groups. Avoid desolate or poorly lighted areas. Be aware of your surroundings. To learn more about pack robberies, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Stimulating talk.
It gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Yes, this is Crime Prevention 101. This is Susan Bartelstone. Be sure to stick around because I've got a great personal safety device to tell you about shortly. In honor of Personal Safety Awareness Month, I've got some self-defense tips for you. But in the meantime, we're speaking again with identity theft expert Paige Pederson from the LifeLock company. We're talking about the Albert Gonzalez identity theft case. It's the Bertie Madoff of cybercrime. And Paige, we're going to talk also about what people can do if they become victimized and to protect themselves. But just any last thing that you want to say about Albert Gonzalez or about the implications of what he did before we move on?
The one thing I wanted to mention is that we had previously talked about the New York Times article, and they had mentioned in there the statistic of the online card and credit card fraud reports had gone down ever since Albert Gonzalez and his crew had been in jail. And that is just in itself a huge statement to make when it comes to credit card theft and the fact that, it's happening identity theft has happened every 3 seconds. I mean, it's a big thing to make such a big dent in a statistic like that when, one crew is behind bars.
Yeah, this was major. All right, let's give a couple of suggestions. What people can do to protect themselves, and what do you do if your credit card information has been compromised? So
let's first start with if your credit card has been compromised or your identity has been compromised. Everyone should first and foremost get their annual credit report. So you go to annualcreditreport.com check out what lines of credit you have open in your name. And then maybe you stumble across a line of credit, maybe some sort of account that you have opened that isn't yours. So you're now a victim. So what you would do is first, there's an address that you have to write to, or you can call the credit bureau to get the process of getting it removed. You would need to file a police report and make sure you have that police report number, because the majority of the time, if it's on your credit, you're not able to get it removed without a police report number. Mm-hmm. And so after that, a next step you should do after you've got that ball rolling is report your statistic and your theft to the Federal Trade Commission. They compile a list of statistics that they put out at the end of February. So at the end of February this year, or just coming up here in a month, we're going to get some great statistics as far as where each state ranks when it comes to identity theft, what type of fraud and theft was complained about the most. Is this crime, rising? Is it, getting better? Is it getting worse? Stuff like that. So the next. Oh, you know what, Paige? Maybe that's a good thing for you to come back on when those come out. We'll talk about what's going on with that. Absolutely. No, that in itself, that report, it compiles the biggest cities that have the problem within the United States, and it gives some great statistics when the Federal Trade Commission does a really good job with their report. So reporting your problem would only help, bring light to the crime, and then that's how laws get changed is from reports like that. Let me give out, I happen to have that in front of me. Let me give out that website, and I've got a phone number there, Identity Theft Line. That's www.ftcfederaltradecommission.gov/ID theft. And their phone number is 1-877-ID-THEFT. Great, and it's really simple to do. You just type in your state and your problem, submit, and, we thank you, especially companies and everybody who's trying to educate about the problem. These statistics are the most helpful when it comes to identity theft, because Federal Trade Commission is one of the well-known organizations out there, so a lot of people then complain to them, so it's good. And I think they have special affidavits that you can file when you they give you forms and everything. They're very helpful with that. Absolutely. And what else should people do? And then let's say you notice a charge. First, you should be diligent about checking your credit card and bank statements. Now that we have online statements, if you're not comfortable using an online banking, then every time you get your statement at the end of the month, then check it. But really, cross off and look. Make sure every transaction is yours, because even if it's pennies, even if it's $1, that's actually the start of a skimming scam. They're making sure that your credit card, your debit card goes through, and then after it goes through, they're going to wait a couple days, maybe even minutes, and max out your entire card or drain your bank account. Mm-hmm. So if you notice something, if it's a bank account, you have 30 days to report it. If it's a credit card, you have 60 days to report it. So it's very important, if you want your money back and the least, amount of hassle that you're going to go through, is to report it right away. Now, I saw something, Paige, that made a lot of sense to me. I'd just like to hear what you think about this. I read that you should turn your computer off when you finish shopping or when you're not using it. You should. Even when you're on the internet or your computer's just sitting there, it can always be talking, especially if you have wireless. Let's say you accidentally go to a website that may have given you a little bit of a virus, but while it's sleeping and you just think it's off, but you haven't completely turned it off, it actually can be transmitting information. So whether this virus let you have access, the person who gave you the virus access to your entire computer, your hard drive, it's just more safe just to turn it off completely. Then it's not transmitting any signals at all. And somebody told me that if you've turned your computer off and you come back and find that it's on, that you need to immediately check and see whether it's been compromised, because one of the things that these hackers can do is control your computer, and they can turn it on.
Was he right on that?
Oh, absolutely right. There are different types of techniques. One of them is a botnet, and I mean that could be a whole conversation in itself. But they actually can take control of your computer. They see everything you're doing. What's on your screen is on their screen, and they control it. So first, they're going to watch you to see what you do, what websites you go to. You go to bank accounts, credit cards. They're going to get your online information, especially if it's convenient for us. If you bookmark a website and you have your password just kept in there, if somebody were to take over your computer, how easy is it if I just look at your history, go to the website, and all I have to do is click enter, and now I'm in your bank account? That's completely scary.
And they can actually turn your computer on even if you've turned it off. So that's two good tips, right? Turn it off, and if you see that it's on, you need to get it checked from top to bottom.
Absolutely. It's worth every penny too, because people's whole lives are on their computer half the time, and so it's definitely something not to take lightly.
Now repairing your credit can take years, and it can be extremely expensive. And that's one of the things that, I happen to tell you now, and this is an unsolicited testimonial. I'm not getting paid for this, but I am a LifeLock member for a number of years, and one of the reasons I did that is because they will help repair the damage that's being done and help get you through this process, and I definitely would appreciate that if that happened to me.
The resolution process on average, it's going to take 30 hours for you to clear your name. And that's going to be something minor. Maybe somebody's opened up an account in your name. But if you can imagine, what if somebody opens up a house in your name? Or better yet, we have actually, prior to her being a member, she had two homes in her name. And so that was her job. She actually had to quit her job just so she could repair her credit and repair her life. So, that in itself is huge.
Yeah, so that's why a company that will help you do that can be a very good option for you. And there are a couple out there too. I have a list of a few other places that you might want to contact. Right, the Post Office, Motor Vehicle Bureau. Social Security Administration has a fraud hotline, passport office, especially if your wallet was stolen, IRS. These are some places that you want to notify, right, if anything has happened.
That's right. And then when you notify those organizations, they're more than likely going to want a police report. So that's why it's very important to file a police report. And I've heard, and through the law enforcement training that we do, we educate law enforcement the fact that they do have to, by law, have to take a police report. Even though they might not be doing anything with it, they do have to take a police report. And so there is a bit of confusion out there because we have some stories of someone trying to file a police report, but they get turned away because they say, let's say, I'm in Arizona, but the theft happens in Wisconsin. And they say, well, no, it happened in Wisconsin. You need to go there. But that is actually not true. They have to take a police report where you live. So, and just get a report. You can also look up the penal code for your state, and you can bring that with you because they do, by law, have to take a police report.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, well, Paige, listen, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. This is very, very important information, and I think I want to get you back in February when that report comes out. I bet it's going to be very interesting. We've really only scratched the surface on this topic, okay?
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Susan.
All right, my pleasure. And be sure to check out LifeLock.com for more detailed information about identity theft. It's a great website, lots of important information for you. And this is Crime Prevention 101. Now stay right where you are, because when we come back, you're going to meet self-defense instructor Spice Williams-Crosby, and we're going to talk about the Kitty Cat Key Guard, a personal safety device. Get it? Personal. That's very effective. So stay tuned.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. That's it. That's it. VoiceAmerica.com.
Hi, this is Susan Bartelstone, host of Crime Prevention 101, and I want to tell you about My Mobile Witness, a revolutionary service that transforms your camera phone into a personal safety device. My Mobile Witness believes safety is improved when you remove anonymity from dangerous scenarios. If you're in a stalking situation, for example, if you have an order of protection against someone, or if your profession places you in situations that are potentially dangerous, I want you to check out My Mobile Witness. And you parents of college students, ask the school to check out the My Mobile Witness University program with custom-tailored options aimed at keeping both students and faculty safe. Every campus could benefit from the My Mobile Witness University service. For more information, go to mymobilewitness.com.
Every day, people are afraid to report violent crimes. In times like these, choosing to report a crime or helping the police can be a difficult decision. A no-snitching culture has sprung up in our communities, making it unpopular and sometimes even dangerous to report a crime. Do the right thing by calling 911 or your local crime tip line. If you're the victim of a crime, report it. If you know about a crime, report it. To learn more about how to do the right thing, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information. The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Hello again. This is Susan Bartelstone, and don't forget that Crime Prevention 101 is available on iTunes. You don't even have to be at your computer to listen to all this good stuff. And I just want to remind you that I will be posting links to all my guests, along with more information about the show topics, on my blog, crimeprevention101.com, and I'm going to post all of those resources for where to, if you've been victimized by identity theft, where to go, what to do, everything that we talked about with my past guests. It's going to be right there for you, crimeprevention101.com. All right, now I want you to meet Spice Williams-Crosby. We're going to talk about the kitty cat key guard and some self-defense techniques. Now, my next guest, Spice, she has done just about everything in show business, in the music business, in the vegan bodybuilding business, in the wrestling, in publishing, in holistic nutrition, and trust me, there's much more that she's done and that she's doing. But today, it's her work as a martial artist and self-defense instructor that we're going to talk about. And her name again, Spice Williams-Crosby, and she's definitely a spicy redhead with some fierce-looking pictures on her website. Hi, Spice. Welcome.
Hi, Susan. Wow, that was an impressive introduction.
Listen, your bio
thank you so much.
I can't believe I got it down to just that that little bit of time there. But January is Personal Safety Awareness Month, so let's talk about self-defense. Now, I know you're out there in L.A. Talk a little about your martial arts background and self-defense teaching.
I have a third degree, a third Dan in Arju Kempo. That's 5 combatant styles from your traditional wazas, grab arts, self-defense, to kickboxing, grappling, and then I also have a first Dan in Eskrima, 12 Pares, which is a Filipino art, and that is with fighting with sticks and knives. And then I've also been certified in Israeli Kapap, which stands for Krav Panin al Panin, which means face-to-face combat, which is, I was granted that through Moshe Galisko through the Israeli government. He is the number one guy in charge, and they take their martial arts very seriously. You can't just go pay $2,500 to get a black belt. You have certified level 1, 2, and 3. I'm certified level 1. I'd have to go to I'd have to go to Israel and be granted 3. But
I know a little bit. I know how good that system is, and I just have to tell you that I have a background 10 years in close quarters combat, which is it was called Defendu, and it was the system that was taught in World War II to the Allied reconnaissance forces. So I have a bit of an understanding about that.
What you just said, Susan, is so important because it's close quarters. If a guy's across the street pulling a gun on you or wanting to throw a knife at you, a stick, I mean, so be it. But when you're assaulted, it's close quarters. And what we teach, and I'm sure you understand, is close the gap. Being able to close the gap, get inside. But it's conceptual also. If a man has his hands around your throat, do not waste your time peeling his hands off your throat. He's going to clamp down harder, and you're going to run out of air. Take your deep breath, let the adrenaline dump, go away so you can realize his hands are occupied, your hands are free. Rip his ear off with 8 pounds of pressure, stick your finger in his eye, grab his lips, scrape his face with your fingernails, make the space via your nasty kind of close quarters fighting. And that's when you employ the elbows and everything else.
Right, and I'm a big advocate of dirty fighting, and that's one of the things that you teach. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the techniques that you want to give, but I want to talk about this kitty cat key guard. And Paige sent me one. She sent me one hot pink and black, and it is nasty. And this is a perfect thing that you can, looks innocent, but you can fight nicely with it.
It's cute, Susan. It's cute. It's a little kitty. Yeah. But it's designed to fit perfectly in your hands. And I'll tell you, a year ago, I was jumped coming out of a Christmas party with my son. And because of my martial arts training, I immediately stepped into the perpetrator. I messed up his game. I had my hand in his face, my other hand blocking in case he was thrusting or punching, whatever. And what he did was he ripped my keys out of my hand. You can't hang on to those keys. They really, when somebody wants them, they'll get them. Now, that cost me $200 for a new key, and he got my dad's World War I and World War II dog tags. But he got away, and I was safe. But the bottom line is, I came across this kitty cat key guard where my friend, Raphael Cochet of Valley Martial Arts in North Hollywood, California, designed it. And it fits perfectly in the palm of your hands. Your fingers don't go through, there are many kitty cats out there where your fingers will go through the eye sockets, but that really is very similar to brass knuckles, totally illegal, and I got news for you. It hurts. When you punch a guy and your fingers are in those holes, it hurts yourself. It hurts your fingers. This, your keys dangle perfectly from the end of it, and you can also use, Susan, the keys as a weapon. But the little kitty, the reason why I made it in hot pink, A, because we're women and we should enjoy pink colors, but B, in the middle of the night or it's dark, I want that perpetrator to see something in my hands. I want him to look and go, I don't know what she's got in her hands, but I'll wait for the next victim.
Now, I want you to make a note of, this is her website. It's called ifightformylife.com, and you can see her with this kitty cat key guard, and people can order it from that website, right? It is a really good fighting tool.
It's a wonderful.
You've also got, I can't believe we're almost out of time, Paige. You're producing your own show, I Fight for My Life.
It's a TV show where I take women who have been victimized and I reenact their stories. I teach them how to fight, and then one at a time I have 6 guys come out and attack them. And at that point, they learn how to fire back what they didn't do when they were originally being raped, stabbed, shot, or beaten. I'm right now, the Kitty Cat Key Guard's $12.95, but right now I'm having a Valentine's Day special where it's only $10. Give the gift that keeps on giving, show that you can.
All right.
And the keys dangling from it, you can see. I have an instructional video, and I also have a very important video explaining how to describe a kitty cat legally. Because it's just
everything that you want her, and she's got little short little tips for you, video tips. I can't believe, Paige, we're running out of time. I want you to come back. We didn't even crack the surface on this. Let's talk off air, because you know what? This is a wrap for now.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you so very much.
IFightForMyLife.com. She's coming back. I can't let her go without talking more with her. Don't forget, we love to hear from you. Post your comments, suggestions on my CrimePrevention101.com blog. Tell your friends about us. You and I will be doing this again next week, same time, same place. It'll be a crime not to listen, so stay tuned and stay safe.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. If you want to learn more about Susan's guests, sign up for her newsletter, or find out about upcoming teleseminars and workshops, go to www.crimeprevention101.com today. Have a great week and a safe week.